We have an exciting show for you today. We're so glad that you've joined us. Remember to share and like and let your friends know that we're having this great series. We're still working on the series Dreams That Change the World. This is part 2, The Source of Inspiration.
Guys, we are live, right? We're interacting with you live right now. So send us hearts, all right? Likes, share with friends and family. Everybody needs to know that. You're doing a great favor to yourself when you're sharing it with those who need it. And you change people's lives when they have the opportunity to receive the truth, to be inspired, and start the date. Wow, it's a date with God, but start the day with something beautiful, exciting, motivational. That's how you kind of shift your mentality, your thinking from stinking thinking into the successful thinking. So that's what we're gonna wish for you today. We're gonna pray over you, we're gonna declare it over you, but share the goodness. Don't keep it, okay? You need to share the love in your life. So share our video, share our posts. Let's start right now because we're doing it together, all right?
Yeah. So this is the series, Dreams That Change the World. There are and I'm talking about the dreams that you had at night, the nighttime dreams while you're sleeping. There are so many of those dreams that have gone on to help to transform a person's life and really to affect and change the world in a very powerful way. And we're telling you this because we want to inspire you to start paying attention to your dreams and know that every night there is the possibility that the next dream you have tonight will be the one that unlocks for you a major key to starting a new business or an invention idea, or gives you just an idea that sends you in a whole new direction for your life so you discover your purpose or your soulmate. And these are the kind of dreams that are happening all the time. We're going to talk about some examples here, but we're talking about in part 2, it's the source of inspiration. There are so many creative and artistic people, and when they're out there and they're creating and they're inspiring, sometimes they get into a block, like writer's block, and they don't know how to get by it. They can't think of an idea or something that'll inspire them. But this is one of the incredible things about dreams. It is the source of inspiration. And when we can start to understand that, we can really unlock the creative power that's inside of us so that we can go higher.
See, this is a very important point. Some people will say, I'm not a writer, I'm not a singer, I'm not an actor. Why do I need an inspiration? We always need an inspiration. You are not an exception. You were born for a reason. You have a purpose for your life. You were given a set of gifts. And these gifts need to be kind of, inspired, ignited. Mm-hmm. And that's what we are talking about. Inspiration for your gifts. You don't have to be an actor or a writer or a painter or whatever it is. Because everybody is an artist in their own right. To be artistic, or to produce certain things is to be inspired. So that's what we're talking about. And guys, by the way, if you haven't asked to join our group on Facebook that is called Dreaming for Answers, please do so. If you're a good person, we will add you to the group. But I believe you are. So let's continue because today's subject is very, very important. And let's just focus on opening our hearts and receiving an inspiration today, because I believe that's what's going to happen. And actually, the blog that you were talking about, the writer's block, I have a lot of clients who come to me and they say, I can't create, and I've been working with actors as well. And, sometimes they have the stage fright. And with writers especially, when it's their job, it's hard for them to start producing again. Yeah. And some people can sit in it for years, believe it or not.
On today's show, though, you're going to learn about where the source of inspiration comes from. So you'll never have to run into writer's block again. You can have that creative flow open all the time. I want to first, though, share with you some great examples. We have 3 people that had amazing dreams that led to some incredible creation. And this doesn't matter whether, like Liza was saying, whether you're a writer or whether you're an actor or whether you want to write a great song, a top hit song. It doesn't matter. It all can come through your dreams. In fact, that is the source of where these creative ideas are coming from. So let's go on and share these ideas. I want to talk about somebody named Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley was an 18-year-old girl and She ended up writing, this was back in 1816. She ended up writing a story called Frankenstein. You ever heard of this?
I think everybody heard of this story.
Yeah.
If you didn't heard of this story, you watched the movie.
She did
and not once, I'm sure.
She did this when she was 18. Now, she obviously was in with some good friends, because her and Lord Byron at the time, Lord Byron had said, hey, let's tell ghost stories every night. And she racked her brain night after night, and she couldn't come up with an appropriate idea for a ghost story. You know, she just kept getting stuck. And then on this one night, she went to sleep, and she had what they called a vivid nightmare. And she saw the whole story unravel of Frankenstein. And so obviously...
So she actually wished for a nightmare, you guys.
She
People don't want to have nightmares, but because she focused so much on ghost stories, she was kind of like dreaming with intention, right?
Yes.
She was setting it up every night. She was focused on it. She was dreaming with intention, and she dreamt the nightmare.
Frankenstein has obviously become... It was a big hit from the very beginning. And so many people have drawn inspiration from this story and gone on to, create other things from it. But it all came from this dream that this 18-year-old Mary Shelley had back in 1816. That's the kind of inspiration that can come out of it. She was racking her brain at first and couldn't come up with anything. But then...
Just like 300 years ago, if you think about it.
In the nighttime, suddenly... This information started to flow through. Isn't that amazing? But that can happen to you too. Here, I have another one for you. Okay, you might have heard of this guy, Robert Louis Stevenson. Does that ring a bell? He's a writer. I'll give you a clue. He's a writer. Now, in 1886, he also was racking his brain for an idea for a story. He had writer's block, what we were talking about. And for a couple of days, he was racking his brain, and he couldn't come up with an idea. And I just need something to get me started, a source of inspiration. Well, after a couple of days of racking his brain, he went to sleep, and he also dreamed this incredible story as well. It ended up being that he wrote Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll
he had a
and
nightmare
Mr. Hyde.
as well.
He had a nightmare as well. And he actually woke up very excited, saying, wow, I was having the most incredible, dream, story. And he loved it. Now, what's really amazing about this, he ended up, when he woke up, he was so excited about this story. He was so filled with, just passion. And he knew, as he began to write, he wrote so furiously. Now, you got to remember, this is before typewriters or computers. He furiously wrote this entire story, 64,000 words in 6 days, and the story was completed.
So he wasn't even rewriting it. It was like one go. He just basically journaled his dream.
It was a miraculous task to think about. We're used to typewriters, we're used to computers, we're used to Xerox copiers, we're used to all this technology.
We're not used to typewriters anymore.
Well, no.
Computers and phones.
But all of that makes it so much easier. He wrote this by hand. 64,000 words, 6 days. That's a miracle.
It was flowing.
It flowed through him. But because he had this dream that showed him the whole thing, that was the source. And obviously, again, we know. We even have sayings like they got a Jekyll and Hyde personality. Mm-hmm. So it's become a part of our culture. That's how big a hit this story was. And that all came from a dream that he had at night also. All right, let's go on to the third guy. This guy also is a little famous. You might have heard of him. I don't know. His name is Paul McCartney. Have you heard that? Do you know this guy?
Some people know him.
He of course was one of the members of the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one night he had a dream, and he dreamed an entire song. He was sleeping. He heard all the lyrics. Upon awakening, he sat down at his piano and he replicated the music totally, wrote it down. But he was worried. I must have heard this somewhere before. He didn't think that it was possible that he could have received this out of the dream. And so for the next month or so, he's asking everybody he meets, is this, have you heard this song before? Do you know this song? Nobody recognized the song.
I wanna stop you for a second, because this is a very interesting point for skeptics out there. See, he was a skeptic, I believe. He could not imagine that he could receive the melody from somewhere outside of this world. See, he thought he probably heard this music somewhere, and his brain kind of remembered and reminded him when he was asleep. He was, for an entire month, he was trying to ask everybody he knew to listen to this music and to find a way to kind of confirm for himself that he heard it before. Well, lo and behold, he proved to himself that he was inspired, meaning he received it while he was asleep, not from his own brain, not from the experiences he already had before this particular night, but from the place, from somewhere else, right?
That's right.
From a different place that is beyond this world.
It's important to note that he received the entire music for this song, and he just woke up
from beginning to end. He received the entire piece. That is the beauty of it. Not just few notes that then he can, start creating from that. And he received entire piece.
And wrote it down upon awakening. Was able to sit down at his piano and duplicate the entire work. Now, after the month or so that he looked, he realized nobody claimed it. So he started realizing it must belong to me. Then I must have been the one that created it or something, and nobody else claimed it. And he kind of knew that it wasn't his in a way, because it came through him. He kind of knew, well, I didn't create this. So it came from somewhere else. So
for a source.
It belongs to somebody else, but nobody claimed it. So him and John Lennon, Paul McCartney and John Lennon sat down and put words to it. That song became the song Yesterday.
Oh.
Which was a
song.
hit song, wonderful song, and it was 4 weeks on the Billboard's Hot 100 when they released it. So, just goes to show what you can do when you really start to pay attention to your dreams and the inspiration that's coming through it. So I think we should talk about now, how is this possible? Because we're talking about these three incredible people that you know their names, you recognize the work that they've done, but what I'm trying to tell you is that same ability is in you. You can have a dream that changes the world. You can have a dream that raises you to a level of success, because God wants to pour that stuff out into you. And we've got to look at what it says here in Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. And then God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over every living thing that moves on the earth." Now, what does this have to do with the source of inspiration? The one thing we know about God when we look back in that book of Genesis, he is a creator. He's got a creative power flowing, and everything he's creating is good, and he looks and he says, it's good. And he creates us in his own image. What that means is he gives us the same characteristics and the same ability that he has to do what? To be creators. We now become co-creators with God, meaning that incredible power of creativity, of inspiration can flow through us if we understand that we are co-creators and that we're created in his image, meaning we have the characteristic to create and be inspired like that. And now it can come through us, and we can begin to now create wonderful, beautiful, amazing works of art. Everybody wants to create the next Mona Lisa. You can write the next amazing novel. You can create the next hit song. Everybody wants that's an artist that's working towards it. And when we start to understand that we are co-creators working with God, we now let that creative force from the divine flow through us, and it can open us to ideas and inspiration beyond belief.
Now, it's not only about artists we're talking here. We're talking about you. What did he say just right now, Ted? He said that you are a co-creator with God. Divine power to create is in you from the beginning of time. You're just made this way, okay? It's one of the laws of the universal, divine law. So that's what you need to understand and put it into your mind and into your heart. So what does it apply to? It applies to everything. You create your life. Okay, you are co-creator with God. You can be divinely inspired to create the life that you want, deserve, and thriving for. That's what we're talking about. You need to receive the inspiration from the higher source, from God himself. act on it, put it to use, put it to, to get the force behind it, start working with it, and you will start creating. What is it that you will start creating? You will start creating everything in your life. Lo and behold, you always create. See, you always produce fruits in your life. Sometimes you don't like them.
You're going to create something.
But you're the one who created them. But if you want to create the things that you really like, will adore, will love, that are good, and that will impact this world, you're going to have to start tuning into the divine source. Absolutely. To receive the inspiration and the blueprint of it, bring it down right here into the physical world, and that will be the source of creation and powerful source to create incredible things in your life. What we're saying here, the easiest and the most productive, the most beautiful and wonderful way to do it is through dreams. Mm-hmm. It's just natural for us. We were created this way, talking about creation, right? That's how you were created. See, when your body is resting, your spirit is really working. And your spirit is your communicative source with the divine. So what is happening when you're asleep? Your spirit is really traveling to different spiritual community, communicating with God, creating and bringing it down. Now, when you're awake, all you have to do is to let it happen. You need to be tuned into your spirit all the time. So the spirit is in control of your life. The spirit is giving you guidance, right? The spirit is producing, and then you will love the fruits of your life.
So you're answering the question right now, where is this information coming from? You're really answering that question.
Well, I didn't know that, but maybe.
Yeah, because it's coming from this divine source and flowing through us. And as you were saying, it's so much easier to do it at night, because during that time also our conscious mind is not present. The conscious mind is kind of the gatekeeper that is protects the status quo of who we are and what we can do. But while we sleep now, we enter into a new state. That conscious mind kind of goes to rest. And we're able to now receive beyond who we think we are, beyond what we think we can do. We are able to receive gifts, abilities, inspiration, and ideas from the divine source now, beyond anything else. And we have to have that conscious mind kind of get out of the way. That's why the dream space is such an amazing space to receive inspiration.
So now I want to inspire you to do the following. Start thinking, what is it that you are working on right now? What is the pressing issue for you right now? What is it that you're creating in your life? If you're creating a relationship in your life, that's your project. Ask for inspiration. Dream with intention. We've been talking about dreaming with intention. Go back and watch our videos. They're all on our Facebook. We post them. They're all recorded. Dream with intention. That's what these wonderful people were doing. Not even knowing what they were doing, right? But they were focused on it. They were thinking about this, writing or the theme, right? Thinking about ghost stories. They really wanted to produce, right? They were focused on it. And that's what happens when you dream with intention. You are focused on one subject, one particular task that you need to accomplish. And when you go to sleep, your spirit goes to work and it starts searching for the source of inspiration, for materialization, for all these wonderful things that you need for this project. It meets different, goes to different heavenly communities, meets with different people in the spirit, so they will come to you in the body, right? In this natural world as well. A lot of things are being arranged while you are sleeping, and you can do it with intention, right?
Absolutely.
It's kind of consciously dreaming and creating, right?
And that's the way we were created also. That we can solve those problems through receiving that divine guidance while we're sleeping, while we're dreaming. Now, you said something interesting yesterday while we were talking about this. You said we get inspiration from dreams, but not ideas. Do you remember that? You were talking. You know, because you were said we're receiving. They didn't sit down and think of this information.
Right.
So it's not that they thought of something, it's that they received this inspiration. So it's more than just a thought. It's actually a power, that's moving through them to transform them.
So he's talking about where this idea is actually coming from. See, some people think that, oh, I thought it into existence, right? Well, you can only think what you already know, okay? You cannot create anything in your brain. Your brain is just part of your physical body, okay? You can get inspired and bring the idea down from the world above. That's the way it works. You might argue with me, you might say whatever you want, but that's the way it works, okay? We're just the receivers. When we ask, we receive. And you know what? It's much easier. It's much easier. You just think about it, that all these things were already created before you were even born. All the mysteries that we call mysteries are already unraveled. But you could be the one who will solve the problem, who will kind of create the new breakthrough in physics, mathematics, anywhere you want. You just need to tap into the source of ideas, okay? And then it will become a thought. But first you need to tap into the source of the idea, and you can be the next Nobel Prize nominee or
best-selling author.
Best-selling author. Mm-hmm. Whatever you want to do, whatever you're working on, whatever is your heart, kind of desiring, you can get it. But you need to understand where these ideas are coming from. You are not producing them here. You cannot produce the idea from what you already know. You need to go up higher into the realm beyond the physical.
Yeah, that's great. Now, what is inspiration? We were talking about this yesterday too.
Well, how do we get inspired? God kind of helps you to open up, right? And he starts sending his messengers, his workers. And I'm speaking about people in the physical world, but I'm also speaking about the angelic beings who are assigned to you, who are working with you, and who help you to receive all these wonderful ideas and inspirations, okay? But also you will get inspired according to your purpose.
Right.
See, you were born for a reason. You were born with certain purpose, with the blueprint for your life, right? So according to your purpose, you will be receiving inspirations through your entire life. It's up to you whether you want to act on them, receive them, and keep inquiring about them, so you will start download the ideas, or you will just say, okay, I don't have time for it. I have to go to work, I have to pick up my children from school, which is all important. But trust me, you can give yourself 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, okay, to focus on receiving inspirations and downloading the ideas. It will change your life.
So the inspiration is in alignment with our purpose, which makes sense when you think about somebody like Paul McCartney, that he's receiving entire songs in his dreams, or Robert Louis Stevenson receiving, entire stories in his dreams.
Yeah, why was it given to them? Not to other people, because it was their purpose. For some people, the purpose is to inspire through writing, to tell the stories. For others, inspire through music, right? To create beautiful heavenly melody and so forth and so on. So they will receive an inspiration and they will download the ideas according to their gifts that were given to them, according to their purpose. So why don't you search your heart today? Why don't you search what your purpose is? Okay, what is that your gift that you need to flourish?
This is another way of discovering the purpose.
Absolutely.
We can discover the purpose by seeing what is the inspiration that's coming through our dreams. And we, so if you don't know what your purpose is, you can start to look at that source of inspiration, and now you can start to realize, this is what I keep being inspired to do. This is what I keep being inspired to go in that direction. As Liza said, if you get too busy with the world and say, I don't have time for that, then you don't discover your purpose, and you don't feel that joy, and you don't end up producing something that becomes amazing.
Something very important, because if you don't act on inspirations for your purpose, a piece of a puzzle will be missing in this world. See? Because you are supposed to fulfill this one piece of a puzzle that will better it for everybody else. So I want to inspire you today, all right? Open your heart to receive inspirations for your purpose and start downloading the ideas, okay? You are co-creator with God. You can do it. We will help. You're not in it alone, okay? You can do it. You were born with it. Before even you were born, your destiny was already created for you. And God did not create you to torture you. He created you to be his most beautiful masterpiece.
Yeah.
He created you for greatness, and he gave you already everything you need. Everything that you need, every gift that you will ever need is already on the inside. You just need to unlock it.
Here it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 9, "For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field and you are God's building." So we're working with him to create something amazing and something good, and it's already on the inside, and he's like at night unlocking those gifts and those abilities so that we can go ahead and do amazing things with our life.
Just think about it. Whenever you feel like you're stuck, or whenever you feel like you can't break through, that things are not happening, that you're all alone and you need to provide, you need to feed your kids, nobody else will do it for you, I want you to start shifting your thinking, your mentality. I want you to, every time when you're at the point of desperation, I want you to shift to thinking, I'm not alone. I am here co-creating with God. I have the armies of angels working with me and for me. I am an unstoppable force in the universe. I am, in the name of God, can overcome all things, because everything is possible for those who are with God. And you are the one. That is the most beautiful thing. All you have to do is to start attuning yourself to your spirit, to your purpose. Become a spiritual person.
Yeah.
I want to say something about being a spiritual person, because God downloaded it into my spirit yesterday.
All right. I was going to talk about the disciple John, but you can go ahead and say.
Yeah, just a few words, you guys, because this is very important. We live in Los Angeles, and every person you meet, they say, "Oh, I am spiritual. I am so I'm very spiritual." And I ask, "And why are you spiritual?" I go to the yoga class. I pray every night, and I ask God to give me good things for the good things I'm doing for others. Guys, if you say that, you are not spiritual. Forgive me, but you are not. What is this definition of a spiritual person? I was inquiring of God. I was asking of God. It doesn't matter how many classes you've taken. It doesn't matter how much time you spend on meditating every day. It doesn't matter how you beg God to compensate you for the good things that you do for others. So, you become spiritual when you think from the perspective of spiritual understanding, and you act from the perspective of spiritual understanding. Okay, when your life will start producing fruits, and I call it about the application of the spiritual understanding, when your life will start producing fruits according to your purpose, according to the spiritual view of life. Okay, so when you start letting God work through you, that's when you become spiritual. Not when you do things to better your physical life. We all begin this way. It's a start, but it does not make you a spiritual person yet. Okay, transition needs to happen. Okay, like when you walk in the world and you start seeing correspondences like Ted and I, we're funny, okay? We don't see.
I'm not that funny.
We don't see the world in the physical sense anymore. Everything we see in the world for us is a representation of the spiritual language. Every situation in our world, in our surroundings, we decipher according to the message that God puts in the spiritual language. All right. So we see the things from the spiritual perspective, and we do things according to our spiritual purpose, according to what we receive, deciphering the language that God, is putting all around us in synchronicities and so forth and so on. So you will become a spiritual person when you will see this world through the eyes of a spiritual person and spiritual understanding, and you will start act according to the spiritual understanding. Action is required. Until then, I'm sorry to say that you're not a spiritual person. You're just an explorer.
The disciple John was working with it, developing with God, being a co-creator, receiving from the Spirit. And he actually was receiving, like he wrote the book of Revelations, he wrote the entire book. And it was really from a dream, from visions that God gave him.
It's the most beautiful book in the Bible, actually, because it's all about dreams and visions and this very interesting kind of poetic language, of correspondences, pictorial language that people have been trying to decode for years and generations.
Listen to his description here in Revelations chapter 4 and verse 1. He said, "After these things I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, 'Come up here, and I will show you things which must take place after this.' Immediately I was in the Spirit." So John the disciple actually perceives himself in this dream, seeing a door open in heaven, and then he's called by God to come up there, and immediately he's in the Spirit. In other words, he knows he's out of his body now.
Right.
He's in this spiritual place, and he starts to receive all of this guidance, all of this understanding, this information, and he writes that all down. That is the book of Revelations. And
we call it conscious dreaming.
Whether we talk about the way Paul McCartney received it or Robert Louis Stevenson, John was receiving it the same way, right out of heaven. He was very aware of that, though, because he was on his spiritual path, working with God every day.
He was spiritual for sure.
Every day. So, just another great example of that. So, guys, I hope you're getting inspired and excited to start watching your dreams, knowing that the source of inspiration is flowing through them all the time. It will help you discover what your purpose is, but it'll also be able to unlock for you incredible abilities to do things you could not do. Liza and I both, the books that we wrote were the result of receiving this kind of guidance. We would wake up in the morning, and I was told in the dream exactly what I needed to work on that day. It made writing a book very easy. I know when I thought about it before I started, I thought it'd be something that would be impossible, that I would never write a book. That seemed very difficult. But it was an easy process when you're working with God and allowing Him to work through you. You could just feel the information when you woke up in the morning.
Also.
And I would just sit down and I'd write. Sometimes God would have given me a page or 2 pages, sometimes an entire chapter or even 2 in a single night. And I would just write until it was completely done. I never forced it. I never had to sit down and rack my brain to think about what do I need to do here. I knew what I had to, the information I had to convey. Sometimes I had to work to pick the right word to convey it. But God had already given me the understanding of what it was I was writing about on that day. And that's how we wrote the books that we did. And it was very easy and fun process.
And some days we were writing, separately, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then we would compare notes and it would be exactly the same thing.
The same thing,
without us speaking about the subject. So where do you think we got it from? We received it from the same source because we were focusing on the same thing, right? Working together.
I think it's time.
We had so many confirmations of it. We believe it, and we are encouraging you to believe in it as well. You want us to
I think it's time for you to do a prayer.
All right.
That they receive this inspiration, that this doorway to heaven is opened for them, so that they now can begin to be co-creators with God, so that their purpose now begins to be unlocked and unleashed into their life.
All right, you guys. Get excited right now, because I am excited. Open your heart, okay? Open your spirit and close your eyes. And I want you, in a way, you see and perceive God, because He's going to show up right now instead in front of you. I want you to invite Him into your soul and into your spirit right now, because you're going to start downloading ideas, receiving inspirations, and moving forward on your path. Lord, thank you so much for this great opportunity to come together and become one in the Spirit. Lord, whoever is under the sound of my voice, you're receiving the inspiration now. I transfer it to you and into your life right now, according to your purpose, according to your gifts. And I rebuke and I take out all the blockages that were stopping you from moving forward in your life and in your path. From now on, your heart is open, your your eyes can see, your ears are receptive and sensitive to the voice of the Spirit, and you know exactly what to do, where to go, who to talk to, and you start creating. Tonight, when you're ready to go to bed, you will fall asleep nicely and peacefully, and you will start receiving directly from heaven according to the purpose of your spirit. And now open your eyes and let's praise God together. And I proclaim you blessed and highly favored, and I expect great fruits of the Spirit from you.
Amen.
Be blessed in Jesus' name.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the show View from Above. We're so glad we could come here and share this message with you. Please share it with your friends. Post any comments or questions you have down below. We'll be able to answer those. And we thank you so much. We'll be back next week for part 3 of Dreams That Change the World.
We love you. Bye.